Hey everyone, I'm really sorry. I just realized that I was on mute. That was very stupid of me. So let's go ahead and get this going for real this time. If you don't mind, guys, subscribe. Follow us on Rumble at 1732 Streaming. You can follow us on Twitch, JK1732A, and you can follow us on YouTube at 1732 Streaming. And we'll upload that video a little bit later today. So I'll get it recorded and sent over to you guys. And also, if you don't mind, I really would appreciate anything you can do for me as far as comments. Drop some comments, what we should be talking about. The chat is open right now, so if you throw a chat out there, I'll try to get back to you. We don't have our CP1985 in the chat today. He is traveling, so he won't be able to respond to you, so I apologize. But yeah, hey man, sometimes you just gotta do the thing, right? So let's get moving on here. Let's go to our first topic today, our first update. And let me pull it up here real quick. There we go. Okay. So the whistleblower documents, there are whistleblower documents showing that the Biden DOJ spied on 8 Republican senators. And this was during Operation Arctic Frost, designed specifically to imprison Donald Trump for insurrection on January 6th. I think this is a clear violation of separation of powers and First Amendment. Obviously, the Biden DOJ was after Trump, so he wouldn't become president, which he became president anyways. Yay. Um, but it looks like he was weaponizing the DOJ, which we all knew. Well, if you're on the right, you knew. If you're on the left, maybe you're surprised. But he was, clearly using the DOJ to, go after Donald Trump. Um, Guys, spying on your political opponents. I know it's cliche. I'm sure every side, maybe every side does it. I don't know, but this just seems a clear violation. I mean, and you're talking about, like, the Steele dossier and stuff like that was obviously fake. The FBI came out and said it was fake, and I don't know, man. The the government under Biden, I think, did a lot of harm to us. And whether you like Trump or not, I think things are going a little bit better, at least a little bit better. That doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, things are a little bit better for you. So yeah, that's that right there. That was just really quick, quick little snippet. I'm gonna try to follow that a little bit more so we can talk a little bit more about that. Um, but yeah, let's check this out. Let's the Nobel Peace Prize. This is awesome, guys. It was given to the individual in Venezuela, and forgive me, I have forgotten her name. If you know her name, drop it in the chat for me. And I guess people really thought they were going to keep Trump out of this, man. They were going to do everything they could to where he couldn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, even though he's stopped, what, 6 or 7 wars at this point. But the individual in Venezuela came out and dedicated it to Trump. You can go on X, you can see her tweets. I think that's fantastic and hilarious at the same time. They thought they were going to keep him out of it. Hey, they couldn't keep him out of it, man. So, and that just really goes to show that he really is trying to do something about peace. Where other administrations before him didn't, and that includes some Republican administrations too, by the way, not just Democrat administrations. I really think that for the first time in at least my lifetime, we have a president that does not want war, who actively fights against having it. That's my humble opinion. Let me know what you think about that. And, if you'd like, you could drop some comments in there. Say, hey, if you think I'm wrong, let me know. I'd be happy to talk about it and see what you have to say about it. This is a discussion platform. We like to discuss things. All right, so let's go ahead and move on, and let's spend just a little bit of time on the Virginia governor's race. So, as a lot of you know, we have Winston Sears, Republican, and Abigail Spanberger, Democrat, running in Virginia. And, the polls and the local networks, I live in Virginia, are saying that the race is neck and neck, statistically irrelevant. At this point, it could be anybody's win. So, by the way, get out and vote. And if you're if you happen to be a Democrat, it's okay if you don't vote this time. I'm sure your candidate will win, so you can just stay home. Haha, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Everybody goes out and vote. Everybody has a voice. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Make your voices heard. So these two are running right now, and I watched the governor's debate. It was held in Norfolk, Virginia. I believe it was ABC Wavy local network down there televised the debate, and I went ahead and went back and watched the entire thing. And I'm going to show you guys some clips and maybe give you my comments on what I think about some of those clips. Now, most of these go to most of these clips are going to be Abigail Spanberger because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm a conservative. I'm not voting for her. And so I'm going to do everything I can to get Winsome Sears elected. And by the way, if you don't vote for Winsome Sears, you are a racist. Okay, that's what we were told when Obama was running. If we didn't vote for Obama, we were racist. So that's not my ideology. That's the left's ideology. So I mean, I expect y'all to go out and vote for Winston Sears because she's black. All right. My party doesn't vote on color of skin. We actually go on merit. But your party votes on color of skin, sexual orientation, all that. So if you don't vote for Winston Sears, I'm sorry, you're a racist. So do the right thing by your party and vote for the first black female to be governor in the state of Virginia. All right. I really expect to see y'all do that. I expect to see her at almost at 100%. All right. Do the right thing, left. Do the right thing. Do what's right for, your ideology. Okay. You'll feel good. You'll feel good about it. I promise. You'll feel good about it. So let's go ahead and get into some of the videos I have here that I'm going to show you guys. And as always, we have the news down in the left-hand corner of the screen. If something breaks, we can talk about it or take a look at it if it's worth talking about. All right, let's see here. All right, so here's the first one we're going to go over. So this is going to be, and all these clips are from, I want to make sure I give credit, all these clips come from the ABC local outlet. I believe it's Wavy in Norfolk. So all these clips come from them, and I just want to make sure I give them credit. So I believe the first video here that we're going to look at is Abigail Spanberger's ideas on abortion. So let's take a look at this, see if we agree with it, and let's have a discussion about it.
Ms. Spanberger, you say you want to keep Virginia the last bastion of reproductive freedom in the South. Do you support any limits on abortion? You have 60 seconds.
When the Dobbs decision was made, it was very quickly clear that state after state would move to restrict abortion access, as my opponent has previously supported. In states where they further restricted abortion access, women have died. Women pregnant with very wanted children, women with ectopic pregnancies were sent home, and women have died. If my opponent were to become governor, that is what she would inflict upon Virginia.
Ms. Earl Sears talking over Ms. Spanberger.
I support the Rose Standard.
Okay. All right. So that's her ideology as far as it goes for what they say abortion. So she supports the Rose Standard. You heard it in her own words. So if you're a conservative, you believe in states' rights, and Roe v. Wade took that out of the state's hands, and now it's back in the state's hands. So I think that's one of the reasons. Now, I encourage you to go back and watch this debate. Don't take my word for it. All right, do your own research. If you trust me, that's great. I appreciate that. I really do. But trust but verify. And she later goes on to talk about a little bit later in the clip. So they ask Winston Sears the same thing. And she makes a comment, and I wish I would have made the clip for you. I really apologize, so I might be a little off. But she makes the comment that Virginia really needs to decide where they want to be as far as the abortion discussion goes. So she's obviously against it, but she's basically saying the state has to make up its own mind, being that it would go through amendments, legislature, all that stuff here in Virginia, and the state would make up its own mind. Roe v. Wade, the federal government shouldn't be touching it. I agree with that. For the most part, I'd say I'm against abortion. The only time that I really think it's necessary is if the child, and it is a child, not a clump of cells, if the child or the mother are going to die from, the pregnancy or whatever condition comes about. That's the only time, I would believe in it, because, somebody's going to die anyways, and you got to save a life, right? So, but yeah, so that's her take on abortion. I don't agree with it. I think it's wrong. But what do you think? Drop some comments, put something in the chat. Let me know what you guys think about it. I'd really be interested to see, where the audience is on this as well. And anybody from outside of Virginia, if you happen to be watching, I'd like to hear what your state does for abortion in your state as well. So let's move on to the next thing. So this is actually, in my opinion, one of the more important topics for this governor's race, and it has to do with Men in women's bathrooms and men on women's sports. I am adamantly 100% against that. I do not believe in that in any way, shape, or form. I think it's wrong. At the end of the day, men are stronger, bigger, faster. It's just biology. So this is going to be Abigail Spanberger's take on that. And let me know what you think about it. Let's listen to that here real quick. So let's go ahead and pull that up. And here it is right here.
Focusing on a K through 12 school system, should transgender girls who are biological males be allowed to use girls' bathrooms and play on girls' sports teams? You have 60 seconds.
I'm a mother of 3 daughters in Virginia public schools, and nothing is more important to me than their safety and their experience in schools. I'm also a former federal agent, and I work to investigate crimes against children. And so nothing is more important to me than the safety of all of our children. And that work, in part, has earned me the endorsement of Virginia's Police Benevolent Association.
Would you tell Steve
Ms. Earl
Descano
Sears,
to not
Ms. Spanberger is
to
talking. Please let her
On
finish.
issues related to what's happening in our schools and each individual community, I think it's important that we have parents and teachers and administrators making decisions about their individual schools, not politicians. This
Ms. Spanberger,
administration.
once again, the question was, should transgender girls who are biological males be allowed to use girls' bathrooms and play on girls' sports teams in K through 12? You have 15 seconds to clarify.
In cases across Virginia, I think it's incumbent upon parents and educators and administrators in each local community to
nude
make
men in
decisions
locker rooms.
locally.
That's what this is about.
Ms. Earl Sears.
So Winston Sears does actually do that quite a bit, which some people find agitating. I think it's great personally. She's calling her out, man, and I'm okay with that. I'd be okay if Abigail was doing that, but I don't think she has anything to call her out on. So we're gonna finish this clip here in just a second. So basically, she's saying that as long as the locality is okay with it, so the local government, the school, the coaches, the parents, if they all come to consensus that a male, for example, can play in a female sport, then she'd be okay with it too. Again, I don't think that's right. I think that's wrong. I don't have a daughter, but I would be highly agitated. A lot of this, it's a big topic in Virginia because of the Loudoun County situation up in Northern Virginia, where they had a male identifying as a female using their bathrooms, and eventually there was sexual assault involved. And then they moved him to another school, covered it up, and then the same thing happened again, and it blew up nationally. If you don't remember that, I encourage you to go back and look at that. But that's why it's a really big topic here in Virginia. So let's go ahead and finish this clip here. So this is the second time he's asked her to clarify, yes or no. And so let's see if we can get it a third time.
There should never be
We're gonna get
nude
to you in a
men
moment.
Oh
in
my
locker
goodness, we
rooms.
finally have her saying that, but you voted for that.
Ms. Earl
Have you
Sears.
finally
My opponent
Ms. Earl
said
Sears,
that?
you-
Men in
Decisions
locker rooms.
locally.
That's
So let's listen to what she's about to say about locker rooms. This is totally not what she said in the past, which I find interesting. I think she's trying to pander up some votes here.
what this is about.
Ms. Earl Sears.
There should never be
We're gonna get
nude
to you in a
men
moment.
Oh
in
my
locker
goodness,
rooms.
we finally have.
Okay, so that's actually kind of strange to hear a Democrat say that. So, I think she's pandering to votes there. I know she doesn't believe that because you can go back and look at her, look at some of her previous interviews and stuff, and she's totally okay with, nude men being in women's bathrooms. So I find that actually kind of interesting. I think she was just trying to get some votes there personally, but that's just me.
Have her saying that, but you voted for that.
Ms. Earl
Have you
Sears.
finally
My opponent
Ms.
said
Earl
that
Sears, you are
now?
just
lying.
intruding on
Are
time
we in
here. We're
agreement
trying.
now? Are you
Ms.
going
Earl
to
Sears,
tell?
This is Ms. Span. Would you rescind the Youngkin administration policy requiring boys and girls to use bathrooms aligning with their biological sex? You have 30.
So this will probably be another where she doesn't answer a whole lot of questions. She just talks and talks and talks. Let's see.
30 seconds.
My priority would be to ensure that local communities, importantly parents and teachers
answer.
and
That's a yes or
educators,
no.
are
So
able
it's a
to
no
work
answer.
together to meet the unique needs of each school and each community.
But
At
Ms.
its-
Spanberger, the question was, Would you rescind the Youngkin administration policy requiring boys and girls to use bathrooms aligning with their biological sex? You have 15 seconds to clarify that question.
Yes,
And my answer is that in each local community, decisions should be made between
There she is
parents and educators and teachers in each community. It shouldn't be
Parents don't want
dictated
their
by
girl children-
politicians.
and Sears, man, she goes off.
Focusing on a K through 12
Here,
school.
sorry about that, guys. There we go. She goes off on her throughout the whole thing. So yeah, so that's her idea as far as, and it looks like my news is buffering down there. I apologize. It sounds like she's okay with men being in women's locker rooms, and vice versa, by the way. I said in a previous podcast, I don't know why that's even a debate. She says, the local communities need to come to a consensus what's right for their community. What's right for the community is to keep the sexes separate while they're changing in front of each other. Historically not necessarily a good thing. I don't get it, man. I don't understand why people are on this topic. I don't know why I know why they're on the topic, but I don't know why they're, trying to push this on us. It's okay to do that. I think it's ridiculous. There are numerous cases across the country of biological men obliterating women's records right now in almost every sport across the board that they play in. And, there's also a large number of documented injuries. I don't have any of that information for you. I apologize. I've seen it. I have read it. I know it's there, but I encourage you to do it as well, so you know that I'm telling you the truth. But there is a large amount of women that are getting injured. I mean, one of the famous ones, I believe, was the volleyball, where the biological male spiked the ball and hit the lady in the face, and she got knocked out pretty good. Actually, I think she got a neural deficit from that as well. So, and that's just one. That's just one of many cases. I mean, we all know Riley Gaines in the swimming situation with Leah Thomas, but yeah, I mean, there's two instances right there off the top of my head, just two of them. There's many, many, many more. And I have little cousins, that play basketball. And I would absolutely hate to see, a male go in there and, well, they did play basketball. They're in college now. I don't think they play anymore, but I would hate to see a male go in there and absolutely just beat them up and, just run them over, man. It's just not right. So, and I got another cousin that plays volleyball, by the way. I'd hate to see that as well. I'd hate to see her get run over. All right, let's go on to the next topic here, and let me know what you guys think about that. Drop some comments. I appreciate it if you did. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you're experiencing this anywhere where you live, and if it's a hot button topic just like it is here for us. So let's go on to the next thing here. All right, guys. So this one bugs me a little bit. All right, this is the Jay Jones thing. So we talked about Jay Jones in a previous podcast, and I've got some better information. I've got clear views and audio of the text because they played it in this debate. And huge credit to ABC. I really do appreciate they didn't hold anything back as far as these texts were concerned, and they did ask some pretty good pointed questions, but you'll see Abigail Spanberger not really answering the question. So let's take a look at that here real quick.
Jones. 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, Pol Pot. Gilbert.
And this is ABC News. They put this up on the screen. They asked Abigail Spanberger about these texts.
Gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Colleague. Jay, please stop. Jones. LOL, okay. I mean, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes. Colleague. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die. Jones. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy.
Disgusting, and said you condemn violence. The question for you tonight is, were you aware of these messages before they were released publicly, and will you continue to endorse?
Can we all agree that that was absolutely disgusting? Like, okay, fine, wishing a death on your opponent, while it's absolutely disgusting, I can almost, I don't know, I guess I can kind of see it in the heat of a moment. I don't think I would say something like that, but, yeah, fine. But then he goes on to talk about his family and hoping they die in their arms. Man, that is gross. That is gross. Let's keep listening.
Endorse Jay Jones as the next Attorney General of Virginia. You have 60 seconds.
The comments that Jay Jones made are absolutely abhorrent. I denounced them when I learned of them, and I will denounce them every opportunity I get.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. I didn't hear an answer there on the endorsement issue, so I want to just make sure. Will you continue to endorse Jay Jones to be the next Attorney General of Virginia? And were you aware of these text messages before they released? You have 30 seconds.
In fact, it appears that it was those who released the text messages and held them for years. So the public.
Okay, guys, this is typical victim status here, pretending to be a victim. She is now blaming that these were held on and not reported sooner. Whether that's right or wrong, it still doesn't take away from the fact that these messages exist and what he said was deplorable. Was it a politics thing? Yeah, probably was. They're probably holding on to that text message, waiting for the right opportunity. But that still does not take away the fact that this man said that, and he needs to pay for what he said. He needs to pay the piper, as they say.
Was unaware who had knowledge of these text messages. The voters now have this information that was withheld for them.
You're running to
presumably
be
for
Ms. Earl
political
Sayers, please.
reasons. But
Ms. Spanberger.
So now it's the voters. Now the voters decide. So again, I said in a previous podcast, let's pretend for one moment that this was Glenn Youngkin running right now, and that the Attorney General that was running alongside him said that. Do you think that if Governor Youngkin came out and said, it's the voters' choice, or it's I condemn it, but it's the voters' choice. They held on to these text messages for 2 years. Do you think we get any grace from the left on the fact that maybe it was a couple years old or a year old or however old it is? Do you think they would give us any grace and say, hey, yeah, it's okay. It was a couple years ago. It's okay. He can keep running. Yeah, no, let's be real here. Don't be stupid. We know that's not the case. They would demand that he drop out of the race, and candidly, everybody from the right would demand that he drop from the race too, even if he was a Republican, because that's not what we believe in. The fact that she's not saying, hey, yeah, he should drop out of the race, I don't endorse him anymore, it really speaks to what kind of person she is. And in the wake of Charlie Kirk and this uptick in leftist violence that we're seeing right now, this is absolutely the wrong move. And I hope this is enough for her not to get elected, because I really don't want Jay Jones being my Attorney General when he has those types of views and ideologies. If he finds out you're a conservative, what's going to happen to you when you go to court and stuff like that.
I understand what you're saying about the voters, but for you yourself, do you still continue to endorse Jay Jones? 15 seconds, yes or no?
Good question. That was from the ABC correspondent. So I'm actually impressed that she pressed the topic, twice. I'm actually impressed by that.
we are all running our individual races.
Yep. So she goes on and, we're running our individual races, and we can't. I don't have. She's trying to distance herself from him, but she's not condoning. She's condoning the texts. Good for her, but she's not telling him he needs to step out of the race, which I think is the right thing to do. Let's see here. I think
Jones.
I had one more. Here we go.
What I intend to do.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger. We just want to clarify, what you're saying is that as of now, you still endorse Jay Jones as Attorney General.
I'm saying as of now, it's up to every voter to make their own individual decision. I am running for governor. I am accountable for the words that I say, for the acts that I take, for the policies that I have put.
All right, folks. Anybody knows, okay? I don't care where you're at, left, right, center, doesn't matter. Your superiors are responsible, for your actions in some way, right? We have to answer for that to our superiors. So, I do in my line of work. If somebody below me makes a mistake and I don't address it properly, then I have to answer to my superior as to why I let that slide, I didn't address it properly, whatever the case may be. I don't get it, man. It's like she's distancing herself from Jay Jones, and she's saying that she's accountable for the words that she says, and she's basically saying she's not accountable for the words that he says. I get it. People, freedom of speech, they can say what they want and stuff like that. But, if she was the governor and he were to say these things, if she got elected governor and he got elected attorney general, is he going to, if he said something like this as attorney general, would she say something about it? Or would she be like, no, I'm doing my own thing, he's doing his own thing, kind of like what she's saying now? That's ridiculous, guys. There's no way that can happen. You darn well know that, if the attorney general right now said something that was deplorable, something like this, Glenn Youngkin would be all over it. And he would not distance himself from it. He would, hit it head on. So, I only ask the same of, Abigail Spanberger if she were to get elected, but it doesn't seem like that she would want to hold her team accountable. So that's another problem I have, not wanting to hold others below you accountable. That's a big problem. And for those of you that are in any type of leadership at any level, when you don't hold people accountable, what happens? Things below you start getting a little crazy, and then now you have to your boss has to ask you what's going on. Then you as the leader have to pay for that. You have to answer for that. Let's finish this clip.
Put out.
Thank you.
I am responsible for the policies I put out and the work I will endeavor to do tirelessly
You are
for the
responsible
people
as
of
governor.
Virginia.
Thank you, Ms. Spanberger.
All right, so that's the end of that one. So as you can see, Winsome Sears, man, she's all over it, man. The entire debate, she's all over. And like I said, some people didn't like it. I thought it was great personally. And she even mentioned her. I think it's SpanbergerLies.com. I've actually went and looked at it. I think you should too as well, because a lot of things that she says in this debate, you can actually go back and see the contradiction. They play the videos, man. Spanberger is a old CIA operative. She knows how to lie. She knows how to avoid questions. So, I just don't think this woman is right for Virginia. But I would really like to see, what you guys think about that. Maybe drop some comments. Let me know. Hey, am I crazy? Am I crazy to think that this woman shouldn't be the governor of Virginia right now and Jay Jones shouldn't be attorney general? Let me know. I'd like to hear from you. And also, subscribe. Do me a favor. Hit that follow button there on Rumble so you can follow me and hit the notification bell. When I go live. I'd like to drop some more content for you guys. We have some game streams and stuff like that as well. But I'm really trying to get this political content off the ground. I actually enjoy it. And also, if you don't mind, drop some comments for us. I think I already said that, so I think I just told myself twice. But yeah, and that thumbs up button, man. Hit that thumbs up button for me if you don't mind. That helps content creators like me. It also lets me know that you guys are watching and engaged, and I really do want to engage with you guys. So if you guys drop some comments, man, I'd be happy to come about in the next podcast and address them or give you my take on them and stuff like that. So that's all I really have for today as far as politics goes. So I'll catch you guys later. Keep your head on a swivel, stay safe, and I'll catch you guys on the next podcast. I will see you later. Peace.